All right, buckle up, everybody. We're diving into the world of Albert Taylor, this aerospace engineer turned astral explorer. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Taylor wasn't just, some new age guru or anything. This guy was a full-on rocket scientist. Like, we're talking satellites, the F-117 stealth fighter, even the International Space Station.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, talk about a resume.
Yeah, it really is quite a jump from designing stuff that defies gravity to exploring the idea of consciousness leaving the body.
It's like he went from launching rockets into space to launching his soul into the unknown. But here's the thing. Taylor didn't just ditch his scientific mind when he made this shift. He brought that same analytical, methodical approach to studying OBEs, meticulously documented his experiences, analyzed reports from others, was trying to figure out the mechanics of it all.
Yeah.
It's like he was trying to reverse engineer the soul.
That's a fascinating approach. Instead of just dismissing these experiences as fantasy or delusion, he was trying to understand them through this framework that made sense to him, his scientific background.
Total. He wanted to know, not just believe.
Right.
But before we get too deep into Taylor's theories, I think we got to address the elephant in the room, or I guess the shadow person in the bedroom. We're talking sleep paralysis. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night and you just can't move? Maybe you feel this weird buzzing sensation, like something sitting on your chest.
It's so unsettling.
Yeah, it's like that scene in Nightmare on Elm Street when Freddy pins you down.
Yeah. But instead of razor gloves, it's just pure dread.
Exactly. Pure existential dread. And Taylor actually saw this as a potential gateway to OBEs. He suggested that if you can stay calm during sleep paralysis, you might actually just find yourself floating above your own body.
Oh, wow. So it's kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure scenario. You panic, it's a horror movie, you stay calm, you unlock a hidden level of reality.
Exactly. And Taylor really believed that under certain conditions, our essence, our soul, could detach from the physical body. And he saw sleep paralysis as one of those conditions, like our soul is doing a little test run, seeing if it can slip out while the body's offline.
It's interesting to think about the soul not as a ghostly figure, but as Taylor did, a form of energy or consciousness with the potential to operate independently from the body.
Right. So our souls are little astronauts ready to blast off into the cosmos of consciousness.
I like that analogy.
Maybe I'm getting a little carried away.
Just a tad.
But you get the idea.
Yeah, definitely.
So how do you even study something as intangible as a soul leaving the body? You can't capture it on an EKG. You can't dissect it under a microscope.
Right, it's not a physical thing.
But Taylor, being the scientist that he was very structured about it. Like any good engineer, detailed documentation, meticulously tracked his own OBEs, noting the time, the location, the sensations, the emotions. He also collected accounts from other people, looking for patterns, commonalities, like he was a cosmic detective, gathering clues to crack the case of consciousness.
That's a great way to put it.
And just like building a rocket requires all those precise calculations, Taylor believed navigating the astral realm needed a similar level of, focus and practice.
So you're saying it's not something that just happens, you got to kind of work at it.
Exactly. Yeah. So what were some of the signs that an OBE was about to happen? Did Taylor have an astral pre-flight checklist or something?
I like that, an astral pre-flight checklist.
Right. I mean, what were the indicators?
Well, he definitely emphasized those sensations we talked about, the buzzing, the paralysis, the vibrations. He believed these were signs that your consciousness was shifting, getting ready to detach, like feeling the rumble of the engines before liftoff.
And he even developed specific techniques to help people induce OBEs, like the interrupted sleep method, which is exactly what it sounds like. You sleep for a few hours, you wake up, you do something for a bit, then you go back to sleep. The idea is it disrupts your sleep cycle just enough to create a window for the OBE to happen. It's like hitting the snooze button on your body while your soul sneaks out for a joyride.
I love that.
I'm on a roll with these analogies today.
Keep them coming.
But the key, according to Taylor, was to remain calm and observant during these experiences. Don't get freaked out by the weird sensations. It's like lucid dreaming. The more aware you are, the more control you have.
That makes sense.
So don't freak out if you feel a little buzz or a vibration. Just relax, go with it, and you might find yourself taking a trip beyond the body. Speaking of trips, Taylor had one particularly vivid OBE that he described in detail. It happened while he was on vacation in Paris, and it wasn't your typical tourist experience.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
Right, he was just strolling through Paris, probably thinking about croissants and museums, when bam, he suddenly launched into an OBE. And not just any OBE. This one involved a bird's eye view of the Eiffel Tower, intense feelings of joy and rapture. He even described this feeling of acceleration like he was on a rocket launch.
Wow, so it sounds like it was pretty intense.
Oh yeah, he described it as pure bliss, being connected to something vast and profound.
That's actually a common theme in OBE accounts, this sense of transcendence, connection to something bigger than yourself.
Right, it's like that moment in Contact when Jodie Foster makes contact with alien intelligence and she's just overwhelmed with awe and wonder. Except in Taylor's case, he was making contact with a different kind of intelligence, the intelligence of his own soul.
That's beautiful.
It really is, and it makes you think, what else is possible if we can tap into this deeper level of ourselves?
Yeah, it really makes you question what we think of as real, you know?
Totally. But let's talk about something that might send shivers down your spine a little bit.
Yeah.
Taylor claimed that during these OBEs, you might actually encounter other beings. And we're not talking about random astral tourists here. We're talking deceased relatives, spiritual guides, even entities that some might call angels. It's like stepping into a cosmic cocktail party where you never know who you're going to bump into.
Wow, that's a lot to process.
All right.
I mean, these encounters, they come up a lot in OBE accounts, and they often have this really profound emotional impact. For Taylor, these weren't just hallucinations. They were genuine interactions with beings existing on different planes of reality. He really believed that consciousness wasn't confined to our physical bodies, that it could exist independently, even after death.
So we're not talking about ghosts in the traditional sense, but conscious beings who have moved on to another realm. It's almost like that scene in Interstellar where Matthew McConaughey travels through the black hole and he encounters his daughter across time and space.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing, right? It really challenges our understanding of time and space, and it raises these profound questions about the nature of reality itself.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, if consciousness can exist beyond the body, what happens when we die? Is it the end, or is it just a transition to another state of being?
Those are some big questions.
Big questions, and Taylor's work really grapples with them.
He didn't claim to have all the answers, but his experiences definitely led him to believe that death wasn't an ending. It was more like a transformation. He saw OBEs as glimpses into this transition, a way of understanding that consciousness continues beyond our physical form.
Like shedding a skin, evolving into something new. It's a beautiful way to think about it, but let's be honest, the whole idea of OBEs can be a bit freaky, especially when you throw in these encounters with unknown beings. I mean, pop culture hasn't exactly painted a rosy picture. You've got all those horror movies with demonic possessions and malevolent spirits. So how did Taylor address that fear factor? Did he recommend carrying astral pepper spray or something?
I doubt it. He definitely acknowledged that fear is a natural response to the unknown, but he also believed that fear could actually hinder the OBE experience. He compared it to the feeling of falling in a dream. You know, if you tense up and resist, you'll jolt yourself awake. But if you can relax and just go with it, you might find yourself soaring through the dreamscape.
So basically, don't let those late-night horror movie marathons mess with your astral game. Check your fear at the door. Keep an open mind.
Exactly. Taylor believed that the astral realm, like any unexplored territory, can be perceived in many different ways. And our fears often shape what we encounter. He really encouraged a mindset of curiosity and openness rather than fear.
I like that. Curiosity and openness. So we've covered a lot. Sleep paralysis, astral projection, encounters with other beings. It's enough to make your head spin. But if you're ready to really dive deep into Taylor's world, his book, Soul Traveler, is a great place to start. It's like a Lonely Planet guide to the astral realm, filled with his personal experiences, techniques, insights.
It's a fascinating read, and he actually revised the book a few years after it was first published. He added new insights, answered questions that he'd gotten from readers. He was constantly learning and evolving his understanding of OBEs.
So it wasn't a one-and-done kind of thing. He kept refining his theories as he went along.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of exploring consciousness. It's an ongoing journey, a process of discovery that never really ends.
And, he was actually building on the work of those who came before him, especially Robert Monroe. Monroe was really the one who put astral projection on the map, so to speak, with all of his research.
Oh yeah, Monroe was a true pioneer in the field, and his work had a huge influence on Taylor. Taylor really saw his research as continuing Monroe's legacy, expanding on those early insights, offering a more modern perspective.
It's like a scientific relay race. Each runner passing the torch of knowledge to the next generation.
I like that analogy.
They're flowing today.
Keep them coming.
And remember how we were talking about Taylor's flexible approach to inducing OBEs? He offered techniques like the interrupted sleep method, but he emphasized that there's no one-size-fits-all approach. What works for one person might not work for another.
Right. It's all about finding what resonates with you.
Exactly. He encouraged experimentation, urged people to find what worked for their energy and their mindset.
It's about personalizing the journey.
Absolutely. These techniques were tools, not rigid rules. The key was to remain open, curious, and adaptable.
And speaking of adaptation, how did Taylor address the fact that, well, some folks have lives? Jobs, families, responsibilities. Can you really squeeze an astral journey into your commute?
Right, like how do you fit this into a busy schedule?
Well, Taylor believed that OBEs don't always require these lengthy rituals or complete detachment from daily life. He saw them as natural extensions of consciousness, potentially happening spontaneously during moments of relaxation, even brief naps. He really emphasized paying attention to those subtle shifts in awareness, those moments when your mind kind of drifts beyond the physical world.
So like a microdose of astral travel,
You could say that.
little mental escape during your coffee break.
Exactly. Taylor believed that even those short bursts of OBE-like experiences could be beneficial, offering glimpses of a wider reality, a break from the everyday stress. He encouraged people to integrate these practices into their daily routines, finding those pockets of time to connect with their inner world.
That's great advice. But how do you even know if it's real? I mean, how do you differentiate between a vivid dream, a hallucination, or a genuine OBE? Did Taylor have an answer for that?
He did. He often said, if you have to ask, it was probably a dream. He believed that genuine OBEs have this distinct feeling of certainty, of clarity. You simply know it's happening. It's not a hazy, dreamlike state. It's a vivid, tangible experience that leaves a lasting impact on you.
Like that pinch me moment, but for your soul.
Exactly. That captures it perfectly, that feeling of undeniable reality, knowing that you've stepped beyond your physical senses and experienced something profoundly different.
And that is where we will pause for now. We've explored Taylor's world, his techniques, his encounters with other beings, but there's still more to uncover. Join us for the final part of our deep dive as we delve into the heart of Taylor's message. What do OBEs teach us about life, death, and the boundless potential of consciousness? All right, welcome back to the grand finale of our astral adventure with Albert Taylor. We've been unpacking his journey from rocket science to soul exploration, diving into sleep paralysis, astral projection, even those cosmic cocktail parties with beings from other realms.
And now we get to the heart of it all. What do these experiences teach us about life, death, the potential of consciousness, the big picture stuff?
Right, because at the end of the day, that's what we really want to know. Is this just about having cool out-of-body adventures, or is there something deeper going on, something we can all apply to our lives, whether we've had an OBE or not?
Taylor believed these experiences were way more than just curiosities. He saw them as powerful tools for self-discovery, for understanding our true nature as spiritual beings. He actually said that having an OBE was as close to death as you could get without, actually dying.
Okay, whoa, that's a pretty heavy statement. So was he saying OBEs offer a glimpse of the afterlife? Like a sneak peek behind the curtain? Like those near-death experiences people talk about with the white light and the tunnel and all that?
Taylor believed that consciousness isn't limited to our physical bodies, that it continues after death. And he felt that through his OBEs, he could actually experience this firsthand, connecting to a realm beyond the physical.
Did he ever describe what that realm was like? Was it all fluffy clouds and harp music like in those old paintings, or something more mysterious?
Well, he did describe encounters with deceased loved ones, and he said they were incredibly comforting, filled with this sense of peace and love. It felt like a reunion, a homecoming to a place without pain or suffering.
That's beautiful. It speaks to that fear a lot of people have, the fear of death. And if OBEs can help us see that death isn't the end, that consciousness goes on in some form, that's incredibly powerful. It's like Dumbledore said in Harry Potter, to the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure.
Exactly. Taylor believed OBEs could help people overcome that fear by showing them that consciousness transcends the physical body. It eases the anxiety, helps you understand that death isn't an ending, it's a transition.
Well, let's be real. Not everyone's going to have an OBE. Not everyone's going to have this profound life-altering experience. So what about the rest of us? What can we learn from Taylor's work, even if we never float above our bodies?
That's a good point. Taylor's message goes beyond personal OBE experiences. He emphasized the interconnectedness of everything, the idea that we're all part of a larger consciousness. He believed that OBEs just heighten our awareness of that connection.
So even without having an OBE, we can still tap into that sense of interconnectedness. Are there things we can try in our everyday lives?
Absolutely. Practices like meditation, mindfulness, even spending time in nature can cultivate that awareness. It's about recognizing that we're not isolated individuals, we're part of something much larger, a web of life and energy.
Like the Force in Star Wars.
Yeah,
That makes a
exactly.
lot of sense. But what about the negative side of things? We talked about how fear can influence OBEs, create scary experiences. Does that mean there are actually dangerous or malevolent forces out there in the astral realm? Should we be worried about, like, astral demons or something?
Taylor actually believed that negativity is more prevalent in the physical world than in the astral realm. He saw the astral plane as more neutral, a place where thoughts and emotions just manifest more directly. So if you go into the astral realm with fear or anxiety, those emotions will shape what you experience.
So it's like a cosmic mirror, reflecting back whatever you bring into it, like that scene in Harry Potter with the boggart taking the shape of your deepest fear.
Exactly. Taylor stressed the importance of approaching OBEs with neutrality, letting go of your fears and expectations. That open-minded approach allows for a clearer, more authentic experience.
That makes sense. But what about protection? A lot of people worry about negative entities latching onto them during an OBE. Did Taylor address that? Should we be making astral armor or something?
He believed that everyone has a form of spiritual guidance or protection with them during OBEs. Like a natural safeguard, making sure you're not vulnerable to harm or manipulation.
So like a cosmic bodyguard for your soul.
Again,
That's reassuring.
Taylor saw the astral realm as mysterious and vast, but not inherently dangerous. It's an extension of our own consciousness, a place to explore, to learn, to grow.
Okay, well, we've reached the end of our deep dive with Albert Taylor, but I have one last question for you. If you could sum up Taylor's message in one sentence, what would it be?
I think it would be this. Consciousness is far more expansive than we realize, and through exploration and open-mindedness, we can unlock its boundless potential.
Beautifully said. And it leaves us with so much to think about. The mysteries of consciousness, the nature of reality, the possibility of life beyond death. It's a journey that never really ends.
And that's the essence of the deep dive. We've explored the world of Albert Taylor, a rocket scientist turned soul traveler, his theories, techniques, and experiences. But ultimately, it's up to each of us to continue that journey, to explore our own consciousness and discover the truth for ourselves.
So whether you're a seasoned astral traveler or just dipping your toes into the waters of consciousness, remember Taylor's message. Keep an open mind, trust your intuition, and never stop asking questions. Until next time, deep divers, keep exploring a wind.